you know why diets don't work? It's the same reason why every time we reduce the restrictions with COVID, the numbers would go up. Because people are always trying to get back to normal. Rather than change from the inside, they're always trying to get back to normal. So even while you're dieting and you're exercising, you're losing all that weight and you're healthy, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, I'll just get over this and I'll go back, I'll go back to normal, rather than looking at, well, how do I change to become a person who exercises and does things, and this is just the person that I am. I always say that, Instagram might tell you that there's only one way to, achieve success. I personally think success can be defined in two ways. So it's figuring out what God has for you in your life and doing that thing. That's success. And success is the progression, continually moving towards bettering yourself.
Amos Madra.
Dr. Ayo Olatoye, a warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us. Author of the book, Building Blocks. So interesting. Your story's interesting. Please share with us the idea behind the book. Why did you write this book?
Okay, so first off, I want to say thank you very much for having me, bro. I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy, very important man. so, I appreciate it. So do you know what? The idea was, so I had a stroke in June 2020, and something as life changing as that makes you kind of start to think differently. And for me, the primary thing, I was like, I've got to make sure my family's sorted out financially. That was my primary motivation, because I'm a locum doctor, so it's like a contractor. So if I don't work, I don't get paid. And I was like, I've got to make sure that I'm sorting my family out financially. And I'd been starting to think those thoughts before, like, oh, what could I do? Investments and this and this. So I started to, I plugged myself into an organization of people who were learning how to trade. And one of the things that people kind of said, there was lots of, you got to look at the pips and lots of technical stuff. But one of the big things that take home for me was mindset is really important. How you think about the task is probably more important than doing. And then you start to study people who have done successful things in their life. And, people were like, oh, success, however you define it, is 70% mindset, 30% skill, 80% mindset, 20% skill, or 90s. So for me, I'd started to write some encouraging messages, like a weekly Monday motivation thing. And I looked back and I was like, oh, then I've probably got over a year's worth of this. And some of it is it really encouraged me. And I was able to track my journey from, do I believe that I'm able to do hard things, to no, I can do things that are really hard. And the book was a culmination of it's not going to be comprehensive in that everything you need to think specifically for your journey, but I do think there is a space to be like, actually, what kinds of things do I need to be thinking if I want to make a success of my life? So the book is, just like I said, building blocks. You want to build your life. I had started to build a life that I was proud of, and how did I get that? How did I get there mentally?
Yeah, I think that's fascinating. And just to think, as a doctor, you've already achieved a lot. Just becoming a doctor in itself is a great accomplishment. Leave alone the fact that, you're a father, you've got a wonderful family. Some people will be settled there, but, you kind of almost felt that this was, you were like in a war room, and you were planning and need to do more. And that hunger, that drive, some people are just comfortable, some people are just passionate and hungry to push for more. Is that something that we all need to work on? Is that where the building blocks begin, with that sort of mindset?
It's a really good question, because I think, because it seems strange, like you say. So I'm married this year. We're 13 years married. We have
Congratulations.
3 beautiful children. there wouldn't be a me without my wife. So, I'm grateful for everything that I have, and everything that God has given me, every person that's in my life. And I've managed to qualify as a doctor and work my way up to be a consultant in acute medicine. So it's interesting though, because when you're in your story and you are the protagonist, you're just in your story and just walking along, and you're not I'm not really aware of other people saying, look at what you've done, and till maybe somebody comes and says something, so I was just doing my life. I never I mean, I suppose it's probably a good thing I didn't sit and think, oh, look at all that I've achieved. I was just I was just going through life. And I think the thing that's important about that is that I'm able to use that to encourage other people. And it's like when they think, oh my goodness, I can't do stuff. No, take a minute and think about all you've already done, to survive 2020 and come out on the other side, functioning mentally. That's a great thing. And I think when people talk about success, often I always say that, Instagram might tell you that there's only one way to, achieve success. I personally think success can be defined in two ways. So it's figuring out what God has for you in your life and doing that thing. That's success. And success is the progression, continually moving towards bettering yourself. So, for instance, if my plan is to have a successful marriage and I am working at it, having conversations with my wife, doing couples therapy, doing my own self-reflection, and I can say that I'm better this year than I was last year, then I'm successful. If my aim is to, be healthier, and last year I was only working out once a month, and now I'm working out twice a week, then I'm successful. I think so. The question is probably loaded because often what we do is we compare, so my success compared to somebody else. And I think that's a dangerous thing. I think it's really important for everybody to be looking at their own life and think, what do I want to get out of it? What do I think I'm called to? What do I think I'm chosen for? And am I working towards that? And if you are, then, great. But I also think there's nothing wrong with a healthy degree of aspiration, because the people who we look to in life and say, wow, this person really impacted my life, or this person achieved lots of things, they were probably aware rather than a dissatisfaction. In Black Panther, when the first one where Shuri says to T'Challa, just because it works doesn't mean it can't be improved. People who are looking at continually moving forward, I think there's nothing wrong with I'm grateful for where I am, but I know that there's more.
Absolutely, and amen to that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, the way you've described it, it's a completely holistic approach. You spoke about, being successful in your health, in your finances, in your marriage, being a father, and again, just because it works, why can we not improve it? Talk to
Yeah.
us about that, and especially how it relates to the book, and how we can apply that to our own lives.
Yeah. So I think, like you say, when you look at these principles, the building blocks, the thing that I found really helpful is that the transferable skills. So do you remember in high school where like you would go like and you're trying to get your first job, and there are some people who were like, what have I done? And their CV is like, my name is Ayo, and I'm alive, and I'm 16, I'm 16. And there are some people who understood that some of these skills are transferable. So I have, taken responsibility. But what they've done is they've done some
Some chores
child
in the
minding.
house, anything, yeah.
Exactly, you know, what I mean, chores, child minding, all that kind of stuff. I
Yeah,
have been able to have a successful business, but they've got a paper out,
yeah.
paper, you know. So all of this stuff is like it's just first off, it's having an appreciation of actually what am I capable of, what having to do, and framing it in a way that this thing is useful, you know. And if I can do it in this arena, it's all skills. Then I can apply the same things in another arena. So that's why for me mindset is really important because if I can push past the discomfort of putting my head above the parapet and standing out in the context of you know medicine, it's the same skill to be able to do that in finances or in you know writing a book and promoting it or in exercise or in I don't know successful marriage. The principles are the same. um so yeah, I think having an understanding of that and being able to frame it because there are certain people in certain communities who may not understand what you possess. Either life has taught you that or situations has taught you that, and you often look at other people and think what they have is valuable. And I think part of the journey of the book is to realize actually no, you've got gems inside of you, you've got treasures inside of you, and you can use those things to move yourself. There's nothing extra that you need to start the journey of moving forward.
This is so good. This is so good. I love it. Why reinvent the wheel?
Absolutely.
As I say, you either learn the hard way or you learn through someone's experience. It's
Absolutely.
much cheaper, much easier to learn through
Definitely.
somebody else's experience. And yeah, it's finding the right mentors and the right coach. And I'm glad that your book highlights that. How do we go about finding the right person? For instance, if we want to improve our finances,
Good question.
so that we can follow that blueprint and just, get to that place where we want to get to.
So one thing that my mum told me when she's giving us lessons in life is that you know there's a reverse gear. So I think one of the things that makes people apprehensive about moving forward is, oh, what if I get it wrong? You know, and the concept of failure. And we talked about failure in the book. So I think the first thing is that if you get it wrong, just start again. You know, sometimes conceptually that's really difficult. Oh my goodness, I started down and it failed. Okay, well, you know, start again. If you're alive, you have an opportunity to start again. But I think specifically for the answer, when it comes to mentors, I think it's important to do some investigations, and because there's lots of people online and you know Instagram and YouTube and stuff, and I think the investigations would be who has something that I want, either a personality trait or you know finances or whatever, and learn from them. And I think the really thing that's important is that you can have more than one mentor because you are a complicated being. So the person who I go to that's going to help me progress my medical career might not be the same person I'm looking to for marriage advice. So I have more than you can have more than one mentor, um, and that person doesn't have to. Some people are in your life for a season, so that person might have helped you. It might be 6 months where you think, "My goodness, I've got so much," and then you're able to move forward. So I think really look into asking yourself the question: A, who do I want to be? And when I look around, who has qualities that I want to emulate, and just start walking down that road, following that person. If it's a YouTube thing, or even if it's a paid course, get the information. But you know, if for whatever reason it doesn't work out, reverse. You know, let's start again. It's not as big a deal as we make it out to be.
What a fantastic analogy that is indeed. We can always reverse, or just pause in neutral and then get going, but not too long, of
Absolutely.
course.
Yeah.
It's fascinating when you think about these. These are very simple tools, very simple techniques. Life is simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. And it's
Absolutely.
again finding these right connections and using it to your advantage.
Yeah.
There's so much that I want to ask you. I just want to know in terms of the book, when can we expect it? When is it released? So that we can all take these golden nuggets,
Yeah.
wealth of wisdom, and apply it to our lives.
Appreciate it. So if you go to buildingblocks.live/pre-order, you can order it. The book will be available by the end of November. And that's the physical copy and the ebook, and then the audio book will be available a week after that, first week in December.
Fantastic. And we'll make sure we put all the links below so that
Yeah.
the audience can go and purchase those books. And Ayo, what can we expect from you in the near future? Have we got more books coming? Have we got more?
So I think first thing I'm on it. This is part of the transformation tour. I'm going around trying to have conversations with people like yourself, raise awareness about issues about the book. Because I do think that there are people who so for me, there was a time, especially after the stroke, that I found myself, I was asking myself, am I coasting? And the analogy I always give is that it felt like I'm on a boat on the sea, without any sort of oar or rowing equipment or an engine. And like I'm at the mercy of the sea's life, of whatever is happening to me. And I think the thoughts in this book help me realize that no, actually, you have an engine, you have an oar, you can determine the direction that you want to go in, and you can determine the speed. So I want to find people who are in a similar position. Like you might have achieved loads. You might be a consultant in acute medicine. You might have, you know, been successful in certain areas, but you might have got into a period of your life and you're thinking, am I coasting? Um, is there more that I can do? And these are the people that I want to work with. So more things. Look out for me on Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that. There's a phrase that I really love that I heard in 2020 is, if it's not the thing, then it's the thing that leads to the thing. And to answer your question specifically about the book, hey, like walking down this road, there are now, I think, 4 or 5 books that I have in me, so I'm in the process of writing another book right now. And I am building an organization, a group of people, a community of people who are like, I want to take I want to take the engine back. I want to put myself in the boat and move forward. And so Master Builders is an organization of people who are doing that. And one of the things that I want to do is in the new year, work with people to help them practical advice. The book is inspirational, but I want to be more than inspirational. I want to give people actual practical steps. Do this, do this, do this, and you'll get from here to there. So I've developing an online course which is available via the same website, buildingblocks.live/pre-order. And there are different levels. There's going to be value at every level, but the value is obviously you get a copy of the book on the audio book. You get some we're sponsored by Blue Strings Bakery, so you get a free selection box, bro. These are the best blondies and brownies in the UK, in the world maybe, but in the UK definitely. And depending on the level of investment you want, there's coaching calls with myself. There are specific strategic business calls with a family business blueprint. Part of my journey has been going in therapy. So depending on the level, there are some therapists that I trust, who you can have some sessions with to help you really unpack certain things, because as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And really delving into becoming the person that does the activity to get to the point where you have the things that you want in life. So that's what you can look forward to in the near future.
Absolutely. This is so good. And, cannot wait to hear more of your stories and see what else is coming out. I think there's just so much to you. Before I let you go, just, talk to us, about that time going through the stroke. to
Yeah,
where you are today? Because when I look at you, I don't see any signs, anything that says, this person had a stroke.
yeah,
It's completely, you seem like the Ayo that I knew before the
yeah, yeah.
stroke. Talk to us about that journey, because we know that for stroke patients, it can be different for everybody.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that's a very good question. The first thing I have to thank God, it could have been a different story. You People die from strokes, and I am so grateful for the fact that I am here and not, somewhere else. And I've got my faculties and I can do everything I'm doing. So I'm the first thing is I thank God. I'm at the point now where for me the stroke is probably one of the best things that ever happened to me because of the journey. So before the stroke, so on the 5th of June 2020, I was at work. I was on a ward run. I just felt non-specifically unwell. I asked one of the nurses to check my blood pressure and check my blood sugars. Everything was okay. I just didn't feel well. Um, by the end of the ward round, I was limping slightly and had a bit of a mild headache. But I've had migraines in the past, and there's a type of migraine you can get which gives you like, some sort of stroke-like issues. So I was like, fine. I was on a half day. Let me just get home. I'll be fine. Long story short, we'll have dinner, bro. I'll tell you the whole, I'll tell you the whole story. Long story short, at late at night, my blood pressure was high, so high. I don't want to tell you because people will be scared, but it was 240 over 120, which is high. And I was like, I don't feel well. By that stage, I'd had. Do you know when you bump your funny bone
Yeah.
and you've got that the tingling, but it's almost like a pressure as well, and
Mm.
that area feels numb. I had that all down my left side. So we called my mom. My mom came to stay with the kids. My wife took me to the hospital, and this is in the height of COVID, so my wife couldn't come in with me. And I was limping into the emergency department. I had a CT scan, which was okay, which can happen, but I still had symptoms, so I was taken to the specialist center for strokes. I had an MRI scan, and they were like, "Yeah, you've had a small stroke on the right side of your brain." Which obviously explains the left side symptoms because the nerves cross as they leave the brain. And I mean, so first things first, thank God, because at any time during that day, something terrible could have happened, and I might not be here. I was also diagnosed with high blood pressure, but because of a combination of the fact that this was the height of COVID and my deficiencies weren't significant, I was able to be discharged that same day. I had to rest. Symptoms wise, the biggest issue was again these funny pins and needles on the left side and some mild weakness, which sometimes I still get, especially if I'm tired. And I'm now on medication for blood pressure.
Mm.
Um, Now I would have considered myself healthy beforehand. I've been doing high intensity interval training and stuff, and looking at me, I don't consider myself. I'm not the kind of guy that people look at. I understand why he had a stroke, but it happened, and these things do happen. And as a doctor, it was really important to me to start having conversations with the Black community because high blood pressure is a big issue. They call it the silent killer. And most people who have higher blood pressure have no symptoms. It's a big issue in the Black community. Cardiac issues, stroke issues, they're big issues. So I was like, well, and I was aware of the fact that there was a growing degree of mistrust in certain communities with the NHS in general. So I know that having somebody that looks like you giving you advice about your health is probably going to be um, taken in a different way than if the person doesn't look like you. So I started having conversations, started posting some stuff on YouTube. And so now I'm on medication for my blood pressure. And I'm becoming in my mind somebody who is healthy. Do you know why diets don't work? It's the same reason why every time we reduce the restrictions with COVID, the numbers would go up because people are always trying to get back to normal rather than change on the inside. They're always trying to get back to normal. So even while you're dieting and you're exercising, you're losing all that weight and you're healthy, in your back of your mind, you're thinking, I'll just get over this and I'll go back, I'll go back to normal, rather than looking at, well, how do I change to become a person who exercises and does things, and this is just the person that I am. I started to be intentional about looking at nutrition and health and all that kinds of stuff. So I found out some stuff. And you know what the thing is, especially like with diets and healthy stuff, a lot of it's punitive. It seems like, don't do this and don't do that. And it's not very motivational. So I flipped it on my head and it's like, well, so there are things that what can I do? What can I add? So even if I don't stop anything, what can I add? So, for instance, I started to drink more water. I was healthy, but I don't think I was drinking as much water as I should have done. So, everybody who's listening, if your urine is yellow or orange, you're not drinking enough water. It should be clear. You need to drink enough water for it to be clear. I started to adopt movement into my day. Because sometimes even the conceptualizing exercise is a big thing. Oh, going to the gym and walk, all that kind of stuff. So, for instance, at work, my office is on the 3rd floor. So when I'm going up the stairs, I run to the 5th floor and walk down to the 3rd. I do that every time I go upstairs because your body is designed to move, and putting that, stress on your body is a thing that helps it have resilience. We've become more sedentary, so all of that stuff is making our bodies weak. So I started to move. I started to go on walks. I started to take supplements. I started to be intentional. So, like, I'm African, bro. So I'm Nigerian. When growing up, if I've not eaten meat, I've not eaten. Like, what? Is this like the hors d'oeuvres? You know what I mean? But doing that all the time is not beneficial for my health. So what I have to do now is, okay, so I have to eat more fish. Like, I hated fish, but now I eat fish. Like, if I went somewhere and someone's offering me a vegetarian meal, I'm thinking, am I in trouble? but now we're intentional in the house about having vegetarian meals because of the fact that I'm now being much more intentional about taking care of my body. I need it to last as long as my assignment is. Yeah, movement, exercise, water, and fresh veg, and even doing those things has put me in a situation where I'm much healthier than I was before.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been such a blessing. There's so much good that's just come from this. And, I just want to honor you. God's called you for a purpose. You've discovered that purpose and you're living your purpose. You're impacting lives, changing lives. Your story is so inspirational. Your journey has been a blessing to so many of us. And I know that you're going to be touching so many more people as well, as your book is spread right across the globe. And I look forward to seeing the other books when they come through.
Yes.
And, I just want to honor you. I just want to appreciate you. And I want to celebrate you for the person that you are. And thank you for sharing your time with us today.
I appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much for the time.
Fantastic. If you want some amazing inspiration, check out the videos next to me, and I'll see you right there.